your spirit, a portion, a part of your spirit, a layer of your soul, as Kat Kerr has been shown, that was participating in the heavenly realms with God. And so when you awaken, that part of your soul and spirit returns to you. And so it's kind of like a reverberation. It's kind of like a resonance that still remains. And that's why you can still feel it. Yeah. And so it helps you to know, like, wow, I was there. I may not know where there was, but I was there. Mm-hmm. And I love what the Father says in his word. Jesus says, in my Father's house, there are many mansions. And it's so funny. You see, right now, the Lord just brought that scripture to me, and he's connecting it with what I'm talking about. And so I was just looking that up yesterday, just to confirm. And in the Greek, the word mansions can mean realms, dwelling places, dimensions. There's an abodes. That was a new one for me. And so when you take those words and you fit it into that scripture, wow. Jesus says, in my Father's house, that's all of existence because God is everywhere. In my Father's house, there are many realms, many dimensions, wow. many rooms, many abodes, many dwelling places. And it's just like, wow. So that's just something I think is just amazing. So there's a little bit of background there. And so I guess we can jump into the prophetic experience. So I received this one on January 16th, 2025. And I entitled it, Crossing Over into the Promised Land. So initially, I find myself somewhere and I'm outdoors. And it seems like I was somewhere where there was a dirt road. There was no clear path. And it seemed kind of be like a little bit of a valley between two small hills on each side. And I find myself there and I see two young boys. And I sensed that the boys were around the age of 9. And a lot of times when you're in the spirit while you're sleeping, you'll know it because you just know things and you don't know how you know it. And that's because in the spirit realm, things are just known. Just like when many visit heaven and they give testimonies, just see the planets and others, they express the same thing. So that is kind of like almost like a template to help to see where we are and what's going on in our lives and in our dreams. And so I just knew these two boys were about 9 years old, and they each had a handgun, which of course wasn't a lovely surprise to see two young boys with a handgun. But it felt like they were friends, but yet it's almost like they were they were very skilled. I had that sense as well. And they were not playing around. It's almost like they were friends, but they had to be on opposing sides. Kind of like when you see a movie and, perhaps, maybe some movie where two guys have been old friends growing up, and then in the future, they're on opposite sides of the law, for example. And so it's like, you might be against each other, but you don't really want to be. So there's a strange sense like that. When I saw these children, I don't know why, but I just walked over to them really quickly. And as I saw them challenging one another, I hugged them both. So I hugged them both. And I put them, within my arms. And, I lost my place here. One moment. And when I hugged them, I said something to them. So I know this was the Spirit just speaking through me because I didn't even have to think about it. I suggested to them, why don't we just join forces? And then we can overthrow the two men who were nearby, who were holding others captive. Now, of course, I said that, but at that moment, I wasn't aware of any evil men nearby or any people captive. So again, the Spirit was revealing what's going on, through my mouth. And so the kids listened, and then even though they didn't say anything, they agreed. Like I knew they agreed. So then we turned around, we all turned to the right, and now both boys are behind me and to the side. So you have one behind me over here and the other one over here. And as we turned around, then all of a sudden appeared a mob. It seemed like a large mob of bad guys. I just knew they were bad. I didn't see any of them very clearly, but there was one man at the very front. I assumed he was the leader, and he was wearing a long black coat. And then he decided to just pull out a gun and point it towards me and the two boys. The moment he did this is just so cool. The moment he did this, again, I didn't even think. I just immediately, calmly, I just put out my hand like this. And as I did this, while this is happening in the spirit, I'm remembering something that I actually do in the natural, in real life. And this is just a side note. This is also another way you know you're in the spirit, because you'll have an awareness of reality, I guess, in the natural, if that makes sense. You'll remember things in the natural. And so when I'm driving, and I'm with my wife especially, sometimes, you have people who aren't very good drivers, and they don't like to use, standard turn signals. I'll just admit that is a pet peeve. I'm not a fan of that. And they'll try to cut you off, or you'll see a car coming from behind and they're, going too fast. And I don't know when it started, but I've been doing this for years. All of a sudden, I just automatically put my hand out like this. And sometimes I do it and I don't even know why I do it. It's just like a supernatural